Here's the finished product. What we're going to be doing here is building a bumper OEM cut through for a swing out. It's quite the color. So just coming in through here, and then we've also got the stop, block, and latch system here. So I'll show you how to build that. Things we want to do before we take the bumper cover off is to figure out where we're going to put the swing arm and the spindle hinge in relation to the cover here, because once this comes off you're not going to really know where everything is. So you want to measure it out from typically what I'll do is grab a ruler, measure out from the tail light, because that's going to stay on. Figure, okay, so how far out is that tail light or the back of the edge of the bumper cover. So it's 3.5 inches behind the tail light, and obviously, you know, right underneath the tail light, 1/2 inch. And that basically comes straight down to here. So if we just draw a straight line, it's actually, and we can do another measurement off the door here. So this door here is, this bottom corner is almost 3.5 inches as well. So the door is a little farther in than the tail light. But where the bottom of the door is, that bumper cover here is 3.5 inches out from the door. So when we pull that bumper cover off, we know we need to be at least 3.5 inches. Ideally, I'm thinking 4.5 inches from here in order for that cylinder to come up in behind the post. So let me grab that cylinder and I'll show you what I mean. So if I want to have this level with the bottom of the door, like that, and basically far enough out this way so that this door clears. Yeah, we got lots of room there. So if I keep it just to the right of this thing here, this corner, I'm good. Have that bottom level with that, and then I just want to figure out, okay, how far out from this R here, how far out do I want to have that spindle? So 5 inches. But right now we're going to take off the rear bumper. How to get that off? We've got a bunch of screws across the back, so 6 10 millimeter screws across the facing there. And then there should be a number on the top back here. Yeah, we got 4. So 2 screws here, or bolts I guess. And looks like he's got 2 plastic clips on the outside part. And there's 2 on each side here. So you've got the bolts that are holding the bumper into the frame as well here. And then there's, once this comes off, there's another one up in here. It kind of goes up in through here. And I'll show you that one that's up inside here. See if you can see that. Right up there. And it's the same on the other side, so once I get this off, you don't need to see this again. So this should pop off. There's little clips up there. And I'm gonna wait until I get the, oh, I didn't get that guy off. This one here. this should pop off. There's plastic clips up in through here and on the back edge. And one more clip on the back here. Right in here. So we want to take that guy off as well. Okay, so the bumper should just pop off now. There should be enough holding it on. Just these clips in here on the top, in the back corner. Let's put this aside. Come back to that later as we need to open up the hole for the bracket. Okay. So now we get to decide how we're going to attach the bracket. One option is to put the plate across the top. This is the one with the spindle that's going to go through it, and the one without the spindle hole is going to go on the bottom. Weld them together across the top and the bottom of the frame, and put a piece of steel across the center here. See if I can get my camera set up properly. Here, let me put this down. So I have the brackets on the top and the bottom. And then in between the two pieces of steel for the brackets, the frame's about 4 inches thick. So weld this into the face of the frame here. And then on the underside of the top piece, under here, and then above, obviously, the bottom piece in here. So I think it's all welded in like that. Create some good structure for it, because this is just kind of hanging out there. The other option that I'll do is put in a piece of 2x2 tubing here, either straight across here and then out, or weld into the face here but out at an angle, and so the spindle will go through the end of there. So I'll just have to decide which way I want to go. Okay, this is actually not bad at all. So we've got lots of steel in here. So I think what I'm going to do is the square tubing. And so we want the spindle collar, or the hinge, I guess you could say, to be about here. But I like this option here. This is probably going to be kind of like this, maybe. Yeah, maybe like that, somewhere like that. That's probably going to get it into the right spot. And maybe it doesn't need to be that far out. Probably kind of that position there. But obviously it's going to be a little lower. So my next step is to brace up where I think I'm going to want to put the tire carrier swing arm, and figure out where that spindle is going to go. And then that's going to dictate where we weld this into this frame member here, and then whether I want to lower and put the gusset on top or keep it higher and put the gusset below, we'll figure that out. So Benjamin coming over to talk about a rear bumper or swing out. It's a sweet 3rd gen. Excited to work on this thing with them. It's going to be fun. Sweet machine. Here's where we are with the tire carrier. So this is the position I think I'm looking to get this into. So there's the position of the swing arm relative to the door. The bumper's off, but the bumper cover's off. I like this position here. Not too low, not too high, just inside the rear tail light. Gus does not have the spare right here, so I had to take it off his truck. I think he's getting it this week. That's unfortunate. However, we are getting it done. So I like that position there. Maybe slide it over to the left a little bit more. But I like that. Might maybe a little bit more. And really what I'm doing right here is figuring out 2 things. Number 1, the width of the support arms. They're going to come down, so I can figure out how long I need to make the swing arm itself. And then that'll allow me to start cutting the tube so I can cope out the end. I think this is where I'm going to have the spindle center. And so we're going to cope this out to get around that cylinder I showed you earlier. But I like this position for the tire, and that'll allow me with that angle to put the vertical post, which is the other thing I'm trying to figure out here, how high that's going to come up here, and then angle up into the tire plate. Got the swing arm cut to length, and now I'm going to cope out the end. So I want to make sure that I put the seam for the piping, or tubing I guess, on the inside. So I'm going to make sure that's in, and the swing arm's going this way. So I'm going to put the collar here. Where is it? So I take that, and we're just going to trace out the, I guess, the circle of the collar. Just going to bring this right to the edge there on either side, draw a little circle around there, and cope that out. Just with rough cutting in there, this is what we're trying to achieve. Get that coped out. I'm going to sand it, but I see here I've got some, oops, I had the zerk fitting a sock in the way there. So actually that's pretty good. I'm going to sand it out a little bit just to snug it up a little bit more. And I'm going to make sure that the tubing is perpendicular to this collar, so it's not angled too much like that or like that. One of the things you want to do, make sure you don't have the zerk fitting anywhere near the corner here, so you don't want to have this on the other side too close to the tube. Probably going to put the stop pin on the front, so I'll just put the zerk fitting on the other side here. We got the spindle welded up, got a little cap on the end of the extension, getting the height dialed in, and I've got this measured 5 inches from the door, an inch over from the 5 inches from the door and an inch over from the corner up here, so we're set there. And I'm just trying to make sure that I get this dialed in properly so that the actual hinge itself is not tilted this way, because I can pull it down accidentally and that's going to tilt the whole hinge. We don't want that. So I want to make sure I'm just working on getting it level right now. Then I'm going to put a couple tacks in. I've got it more or less level with the bottom of the door here, which is what I want in order to keep it from impacting the bumper too much. So I think I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe lift it up a little bit at the far end and then tack this in. So just pulling a good good weld in the backside here. If this isn't gonna fly, I can always cut into that pretty easily and pull that out, but I don't want this falling off as I'm jacking around with the tire on there and get more support. So now I'm gonna get the tire back on there because this will hold itself now. And then I can start to put the tire post and angled supports in and get that plate on there and get the tire into position, make sure everything's good. And then I can build the stop on the end. And I'm gonna have to pull a stop out through the bumper as well, so I have to cut a little hole in the bumper area here, probably right at the end. So I made this long enough to just get past the hitch area so I can sort of tie it into this area here and then just come up. Got the swing arm all into position. So this is where I'm going to have it set up later when I get it all blocked in. So you just want to make sure it's parallel with the back of the truck. So a good reference point is this center part of the rear frame cross member. So that's likely the position that I want it to be in, like that. So swing arm is parallel, I got it blocked out with the wood. Tire is fairly parallel with that. And then I got this little level here. So I've got to get that vertical. And then make sure that it comes up inside the tire here. And that's good. So the tube's going to come up to here, more or less, and then angle up into the tire carrier. I'd like to get it so that it goes into the tire carrier at a 90-degree angle, like that. But for me to do that, I have to have the tube, the post, too high, and then it gets into the way of the lock there. So I'll bring it up as high as I can and then figure out whatever angle I need to do to get it into the back of the tire plate. Okay, one of the trickiest things on fitting one of these swing out arms into an OEM bumper is actually getting the cut properly in the base here of the bumper. So what I'm doing here is just lining it up underneath the bumper, because the last thing I want to do is cut away more than I need to. And so what I've done here is we've got the bumper into place, or sorry, the swing arm into place. And we put some nice welds in there yesterday and decided to throw a couple little plates in here for extra support. And I've got another little cap here for the swing arm I mentioned before that we're gonna pop into here. So I'll weld that in after I get the other welds put into place. But what I'm doing right now is just figuring out, okay, where is this arm gonna extend through the bumper? And I'm thinking it's gonna be around there. So what I've done is lined up the bumper with the truck, and I think I've got it into place here so that it's kind of level with everything when it gets popped back into place. And I think that looks pretty good. And so now it's really just thinking about, okay, well, where is this in relation to the actual bumper? So a couple of things I'm going to do is use a bunch of different strategies here, but one of them is you're figuring out, okay, where is this vertical? And then you can see just drawing a little line. So I'll just go back and forth. It looks like I had it here initially just a second ago, but lined it up a little bit more. So I'm now over here. So this is gonna get cut out. What I'd like to try and do on this one though is cut a flap at the back, a hole for the 2x2, and then kind of, if I can, fold it out of the way to slide it onto the swing arm bracket and then fold it back. And so I've just got a bit of a cut mark at the back here rather than a whole channel cut out. If I can't do that, then I'll just have the channel, but it shouldn't be too noticeable because it's just going to come up from the bottom like that. And I think the top of that bracket's about 2 inches below this point here, so it should be around here. So it'll be hidden for the most part, but I always try and cut as little as possible. So I've got this set up now. I'm going to draw another little line there, and just to start to fine tune things. And then what I'm going to do, I've got also an idea of taking this bumper lifting it up a little bit more so I can work on it a bit better. And then measuring from how far the swing arm bracket is from here down to the swing arm bracket itself. And then taking that same measurement off here, which is right here, that point. That's where this is gonna connect. And then measuring down here. So doing a bunch of different things. You can also do it off this hole here, this bolt hole, and then this one as well. And that'll take it off these ones here. So just trying to figure it out, because it's hard to, well, it's hard, it's impossible to fit this on here because the swing arm's in the way. So anyways, I think this is gonna be the location. Seems like it's gonna work. A little cut up the backside here. I'm going to take the utility knife, clean this out, and I'm hoping this is smaller than it needs to be, and then I can widen things out based on where I need it to go. So planning on, it probably needs to come over this way a little bit more up onto this line here, hopefully a little higher, and I'm hoping to be able to flex this out of the way to get it over top of that bracket, but we'll find out. I like how this is coming in here. I'm gonna cut that up a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch or so. Yeah, about 1/8 of an inch in all directions. So close. So we've got a nice little opening around here. I might square this part up here a little. I might square this part here up a little bit, but everything else looks really good. Really happy with how that looks. Nice. Okay, so I got that figured out for the most part. And now I can work on this stop block here. So what I'll do is figure out, okay, what's the size of the plate that I need to hang out here to support that polyurethane stop in the latch, and then figure out where I want it in relation to this bumper, place it on here, and then figure out how I'm gonna connect it to the frame of that cross member on the bumper part. And that's not gonna be hard. It's just cutting the opening to support it and having a minimal cut in here to access the bumper. So we'll get on that. Pretty happy with that in terms of how that's all looking. I might be able to open this up a little bit more, and then that'll allow this to close a smidge. So that's pretty good like that. Even if that stayed like that, that's pretty sweet. And then over on the stop block end, where we're gonna put the latch, this actually came out really nice. So we've got this already cut in nicely here, and the stop block is just gonna fit right in there nicely. Moving along now, and you get the tire carrier tacked into place. Used a little square edge here to get it, make sure I had it vertical, and I got the little level on here, so just used all that. And then I like to use these clamps to make sure that the sides of the tubing are flush. Put some tacks in, and then pop the clamps all off, and then I can, once everything looks like it's dialed in and the right height, angle, threw the tire on, it's good. So once I think I get this welded up, I can actually start doing the final welding on all this stuff. I'm probably gonna put another little support here, another bit of tubing And then I got one to put on here, and then I'm pretty much done. So that's good. And then just sand it all down. Gotta touch this up a little bit, and then clean it all up and get it coated. So there we are. Right on, we are almost done. Pretty excited. I'm working on the stop pin now. I got the tire carrier all welded in there, so I'm pretty happy with how those all went. And added another little gusset on the top there, so it's looking good. Be happy with that. And now we're just on the stop pin location. So what I've done is cardboard and made the little rough location mounts here for the where it's closed, where it's open, so the back door can open, and then on the far end so the tire doesn't hit the actual tail light here. So what I'm going to do is cut this out now, and it's 3/16 inch steel, I think, and then start to fit it into place. And then once it's in place, I'll drill the holes so I can get them super accurate, and we'll be done. We're done. Another Bentley custom off-road build. This is for 4th gen. This is Gus's truck, and we have a ladder in here and also the swing out, so we're all set with that. And this is not the wheel that's going to go on here, so the offset's a little different, so it's a little closer than it's going to be. These are different wheels that he's ordered and get on there. So just painting the top cap still, and gotta move the license plate over. We've also got to reattach the ladder. I haven't, just letting things dry, and then I'll glue down tape down the top plate, bolt everything up. We're all set. So quite a vivid color, gloss sunrise red, Rust-Oleum. Quite the color for sure. Anyways, there we go. Love it.